Right now, things are kind of all over the place. So just keep in mind, you're dealing with investors, they want a return, and as their cost of capital increases, the properties will decrease. So if you get someone into a property today, in 5 years or 6 years, the property is gonna change. Why? Because their net income may be the same, but the new buyer is likely not gonna pay $1 million cash. They're gonna borrow the money. So that's how it gets affected. It gets affected by all these moving parts. You have your income coming in, and the other moving part is the mortgage, because I don't know what the mortgage rates are gonna be, and however it is. Now, just for fun here, because I'm really curious, what is well, kind of what we discussed. So what's a good cap rate? Someone give me a good solid cap rate. Anybody?
6.
6? Okay. So you'll take a 6% return on your money. Anybody else? Something? No? Okay. 10. 10's good. Well, I like 10. All right. So would anyone in here take a 2% cap rate? No one would take a 2% cap.
Still making money, right?
You're still making money, right? So if I'm selling a property, what's the easiest way, and that was on the other page I just flipped over, what's the easiest way to give you a lot of value on your property? How can you probably can't guarantee someone you can sell their house in 3 days, right? It's probably very unlikely, unless it's on the water and you're gonna sell 50 grand, you're gonna have people lining up. Now, how do you sell a property for a 2% cap rate? And just to give you guys an example on this, a 2% cap on the same 100K example, anybody know what that property would be worth? All right, so that property would be worth $5 million. Anybody see how I did that? I'm basically telling you, if you gave me $5 million cash today, I can give you a 2% return on your money. It's just that simple. So how can I convince someone that wants a 10 cap to buy my 2 cap? It's pretty difficult, right? And this is just more of a bonus for you. This is cool things you can do in commercial just to increase the value of your client's property. The easiest way to do it is, suppose somebody owns the property clean and clear. This happens a lot. Most people own their properties. Rather than asking for 20% down or 30% down or whatever, what if I told you, listen, I'll finance the whole thing. You got to give me 1% down, and I'm going to give you 30 days to pay me. So what's 1% of $5 million?
50,000.
So if I told you you can control this entire asset, all you got to give me is $50,000. Does that sound like a pretty decent investment?
No.
So you're at 50K, and we know you're going to make 100. So on my 1% investment, what did I just make?
50.
Yeah, but what are the financing terms? Does that?
Good question. I like questions. So get me going. So the financing terms are simple. It's, listen, I own the property. I'm going to finance you for 98% of it. You have to give me $50,000 down to show that you're serious. And the only difference is I'm not the one taking out the trash. You're doing it all. Every month, I'm cutting you a check. Now, I don't know what that payment is. We haven't worked on that. But remember, you're creating an arrangement. This is not a bank financing arrangement. This is whatever I want it to be. You pay me, if we know it's making $100,000, then you pay me 50 grand or whatever a year, whatever it is, whatever the number is. And maybe 2% was a little extreme. Probably should have used 6. I don't know why I came up with 2. But the point is, there's a lot more margins. There's a lot more room to make that deal happen. So the reason I'm telling you about cap rates is you're going to hear a lot of investors throw cap rates at you, and just ignore that, because that's not really a true measure of investment. You're using a tool that's subjective. nobody really has a good idea what a good cap rate is. One person wants 10, one person wants 6. So, I mean, how do you know? That varies the property big time. So, try to steer clear of the cap rate formulas. Just know what they are. They give you the return on the property, on the investment. So, and it's a little different because you can't use cap rate on a single family home, right? A single family home, I don't know, at a 10% cap rate might work, but you only have one tenant. What if he moves out? And he's been vacant for 2 months. Odds are you're not going to get your money back in that year. You got to keep that tenant there longer. So that's why you have to use that formula on something longer, on a little more up there. Yes?
In that example, how common is owner financing something that big?
It's very, very common.
Really?
Very, very common. Owner financing in commercial real estate is not even looked at any different. And
Like,
I'll
how common is it for a $50,000 investment to get a $5 million property with owner financing?
it's not very common. I pulled
They
the,
usually want 20 to 25%, correct?
no. You can structure the deal. We'll talk offline.
We can talk.
Yeah. It's